Hey guys, how are you? Ishai Breslauer here. I hope you guys are well. It's Thursday today. We're live on YouTube, on Facebook, and our LinkedIn. And also, this is going to be recorded and plugged in into my CRE. It's called the CRE SharkEye podcast, which will be usually an hour after, so people can commute to work and actually hear the podcast. But today, what I want to do is basically discuss, usually on Thursdays, on Mondays, let's start saying. On Mondays, I usually dive into very intense, I would say, discussion about the market outlook and what's going on usually. That's on Mondays. Last time we chose, for example, the office market outlook. Mondays, we're going to choose something else. Didn't decide yet. On Thursdays, we go into more inspirational stuff. People are tired from the week and more about the general CRE, commercial real estate arena. Great for beginners, awesome for beginners to give them inspiration to go into it, and also great for pros just to get some inspiration so they can get and start their weekend with a positive, on the right foot, with a positive attitude. And that's also very, very important. So again, Ishai Breslauer here. Let's start. Basically, in the first shows, I'm going to talk myself because I have a lot to say, and hopefully at a certain point, we're going to start bringing guests into the show. Today, what I want to do is I want to just share with you basically a little bit of the story of what got me excited to get into commercial real estate, which a lot of people and a lot of beginners are usually asking me, what got you into this thing that is called commercial real estate? Because a lot of people are familiar with this RE thing, real estate, and whether they come from the investment part of things, where they flipped some houses, or they invested in a condo, or they worked as residential brokers, whatever you want, you name it. And then they all of a sudden they look at the commercial real estate game, and they look at it because it's like a sort of a closed niche, right? And they say to themselves, how do I look at that thing? They look at the huge office building or a shopping center, not performing great today, or a hotel, also not performing great today, or a resort, or a multifamily performing well today. And they're looking at, depends of course in the area and what's going on in which class and all that stuff, but they're looking at that type of a property and then telling themselves, how do I do that? How do I get into that thing that is called commercial real estate, CRE? How do I join this? How do I get excited about this? And this is sort of like they pull out their hair. They don't know who to call, and they were not born into a big commercial real estate family business, or they don't have this guidance, or they never went to NYU Shack, so they don't have those connections, and they don't know how to start. They look you through LinkedIn, and people are telling them, call this guy, call this guy. They don't even know where to start. They don't know anything. They feel uncomfortable, and they don't have the confidence. And that's exactly where I was years ago. And I would like to share that with you. And here's the thing. I worked for a large company. I worked for a very large company, no names at this point. But you can always look at my LinkedIn profile and see. But basically, I worked for a very large company as I was the head of marketing and sales for the whole North American region for high-end condos, etc. And my job was to meet with affluent people who are capable of buying those properties, and that they looked for those penthouses and huge condos. And the reason I went to that company is because I was excited about commercial real estate, and I wanted to learn that. If you hear the few days ago, the last Thursday, my origin story, how I got into real estate and my dreams were, etc. I talk about that, but when I already was in that company and doing well and everything was great, I had 1 week basically that changed my entire perspective, changed my life, but changed my entire perspective about what's the difference between real estate and commercial real estate. And you want to hear this because this is something that it's not only my story, what happened to me, it's something that happened to a lot of people. It's something that happened to tons of people. And this is something that I would like to share with you. Basically, I remember I had a meeting that was scheduled with a young guy who was at the time very successful with his business. And I'm going to get to it in a second. But we had a meeting in a boardroom right above Central Park with spectacular view. The boardroom, I remember, for me as a guy who sells, even though I worked for a huge real estate development company, and I learned a lot from development, construction, and bunch of stuff that was very interesting to me. But the whole commercial real estate game, numbers, all these IRR, NOIs, GPLP, deal structures, looking at acquisitions, or looking at the number game level or the deal game level, etc. That was foreign to me. I was a sales guy, and at the time, I did okay, and at times I did even very well. And we had that meeting again. That boardroom looked like, for me, it was like a huge, how do you say, soccer field. I'm looking at this thing, and the guy comes in, and he's a young guy. We had great rapport. Everything was great, and he was not interested in that condo that I was offering him. And we had such great rapport that I'm asking him, as we say, with chutzpah, and I'm telling him, what do you do for a living? And he started telling me, listen, what I do is I buy worldwide companies that has subsidiary companies that are performing really amazing. Okay, they're doing really well, but the mother company, the mothership, has troubles from all kind of places and all kind of. It sounds familiar. Nowadays we have all kind of things like that. And the guy said to me, "What I do, I go in and I acquire those companies, what we call M&A, mergers and acquisitions." He goes in, acquires those companies, and then he takes the daughter company, basically, that is doing well, and he's sort of trying to pull it out, doing all kind of moves like that. I heard that. For me at the time, it was like, I didn't know there is a game like that at the time. Today, of course, we deal with it all the time, but at the time it was a new game for me. I did not know what the guy is talking about, and I started going deep. I asked him, how do you do that? Where do you go with this? How do you go about this? And he started explaining to me. He was very nice. Started explaining to me. I came out of this meeting blown away, knowing that there's so much more into business than what I'm doing or what I do at the time. And I understood that this is something I need to study further. And I got very inspired. Just a day later, I meet a guy who was much older. And I'm also interested, meaning I'm talking to him about those condos that I'm selling and all that stuff. And the guy is telling me, and I'm asking him too, what do you do for a living? Because I already got inspired with the first guy. I'm asking him, what do you do for a living? And the guy is telling me, I buy lots, I buy few lots, and then I assemble them basically, and then I buy skyscraper. I build high-rise buildings, skyscrapers, call it whatever you want, condo developments, office of all sorts, and he owns them all across. He buys, he builds, and he started telling me. I started asking him how you do it. He started talking to me all these methods that he goes through in rezoning, etc., and I was blown away. And a day after, I meet another guy, and that guy also owns real estate all across, and that was interesting. But I think that the last day that week, everything happened in 1 week, because I was at that week, we had that promotion where we sold those high-end condos, and that gets you to meet those affluent people and people who have a lot of experience with different type of businesses. And I think it was a Thursday. Of that week. It was already exhausted from the running around and meeting people. And I have this meeting with a guy, and he comes in. He has this swag. He comes in with a suit, and he's at the time, he's just a little older than me. Big smile, nice guy, comes in and sits down. We have this great rapport also, and we start talking. And he said, "Okay, what you got?" And I'm starting to sell him. I start talking about the condos and start showing apartment plans and you name it. 5 minutes or maybe 5 minutes were into the conversation, and he's telling me, "Yishai, stop talking." I'm like, "What?" He said, I'm interested. I'm buying it. And for me, it was a revelation because I've never seen, I don't know if you've read the Think and Grow Rich of Napoleon Hill, where he talks about how he made a decision when Andrew Carnegie is coming to him and is telling him, um, I have a proposition for you. He tells him then, I have a proposition for you, and I will guide you, I will help you and everything, but there's no money attached. But I will put you in touch with everybody. Andrew Carnegie was one of the most powerful people at the time, and Napoleon Hill was just a young guy, and he tells him, I'll help you discover, if you interview all these wealthy people who have done that, as we call it, have did it, and I will make the connections, I'll make the introductions, I'll do everything, and unbelievable. And he said, I'll do that. What do you think? What do you say? And Napoleon Hill said immediately, I'll do it. And Andrew Carnegie told him that, basically, the attribute, call it whatever you want, of making a decision that is in front of you very quickly. It's not always possible, but at that point, with certain type of decisions, you have to know how to make it fast. And Andrew Carnegie said, if you can't make a decision, I think in 60 or 90 seconds, I can't remember exactly what he wrote there, but you can't do it. I wouldn't do the offer would be off the table. That's what he told him. And the funny part was that when I saw this guy coming in, I'm showing him the condos, and he's telling me, after 5 minutes, he's telling me, I'll do it. I'm going to buy this. It showed me that a decision-making process could be long or short, depends. Yeah, we froze for a little bit. I don't know what happened. So anyways, the process of making decision, I'm repeating that sentence just for now, making that decision at that point, then and there, 5 minutes to purchase something that is worth over $1 million, was, to me, was mind-boggling, fantastic, and cool. And I asked him also, what do you do for a living? What is that something that you do that is so exciting, that lets you or allows you to buy this type of a property in $1 million and make a decision in 5 minutes? And he said, listen, I'll be happy to tell you, but come to my office. I came to his office a couple of days later, and he showed me that he owns a fund, basically, that owns real estate all across the U.S., and I was blown away. And I think that was the point. That was the exclamation point to put it on that week for me, to make me understand life could be different, basically, or it could be more interesting, could be more exciting. And commercial real estate is something different, and you have to know this. But you know what? And then started a journey. Because, of course, you don't just walk away from where you are just exactly at that point. But it took time for me. It took time for this whole idea and concept it took time to, sink in. I had to digest it. And once it did, once the whole thing came to me that this is what I want to do, and this is where I want to be, I said to myself, you need to educate yourself. How do you educate yourself? And I met with few very affluent people through family that I know, through all kind of people. And they said, listen, you need to go into NYU Shack and register and get into that. And I came in and said, that's a great idea, NYU Shack, but I did not have the capital to go and pay for the graduate school of NYU Shack, even though I think extremely highly of them. I think that this school is a tremendous school, an amazing school. If you have the chance to go there, it's amazing. But at the time, this was not relevant for me. I was working in New York and in LA and in Chicago and in Toronto, doing all kind of residential stuff and trying to move into commercial real estate. But it was irrelevant for me. I lived in Israel And to me, to go back and forth and to go to NYU Shack, even I thought of even moving to New York just for a short period of time to do it. And the thing was, and here is the point. Um, that was over my head. So I started teaching myself. You have to do what you get. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and you got to sink. You got to take something, and to study it cold and to get into it. I started teaching myself, and I remember I left the company because at a certain point I could not continue go and sell condos. While I was getting myself into commercial real estate, that was a contradiction. I didn't have time for it, so I literally made that move. That was a very scary move, and at that point, I remember starting buying all these books about financing and financing real estate deals. What's the difference between debt and equity? How is equity been split between partners? What's a general partner, limited partner? All these terms that I did not know about, because I remember in the beginning, I thought, let's do it. Sometimes you have to be a doer. It's not sometimes, every time you have to be a doer. Actually, I just saw the other day again this Art Williams video where you say, just do it and do it and do it. It's one of the most incredible videos I have ever seen. It's very inspirational and gets you to actually get up from your chair and do stuff. And at that point, that was very interesting. I started doing it, started, talking to people, introducing people, started asking for deals, trying to get into the deals in some way or another. And I remember then the guy says, okay, I'll send you the materials. And he sent me this PDF with, commercial real estate memorandum, the OM, everything in it, the offering memorandum. So I'm looking at everything and I can't read it, literally. And I remember looking at it, it was like Chinese for me. And I'm asking, and he's telling me what's the IRR you're looking for, what's the return equity, maybe equity multiple, and all these terms. He's starting to ask me what type of equity you want to put in, and I said, pause, you don't know anything. You have to learn. This is not buying or selling a condo or a house. This is something different. And at that point, I started studying like crazy. I remember doing one thing. I asked for the Excels from all these guys. Said, you know what? Send me the Excel. Send me the spreadsheet itself. Don't send me a PDF. Send me the Excel. That was the best self-education I could make for myself, because I started going through the Excel and then asking, what'd you do here? What'd you do there? Following the tabs, seeing where things are coming from, where things are being pulled from, which part of the Excel. And that was only one part, because getting to know the actual, I would say, game of deal making is not only numbers. You have to understand the game of deal making, understand negotiation, how do you say, principles. This is something that took a long time. That's why I created this course that I've created right now. But basically, this is something incredible that, how do you say, it took a long time to get into. But once I was in it, then you know what, you move into real estate investment banking, and then to development investment companies and all that stuff. You move up the ladder, but you have to be consistent. And that is, I would say, the concept of going into commercial real estate, because commercial real estate can change things. And how to say, the scalability of commercial real estate is unbelievable. So if you guys are beginners and you want to get into commercial real estate, and this is something that it could be exciting to you, this is something that you should consider. But there's the long haul. And I remember one thing, one of the coaches, Brian Tracy, who I look up to really well, how to say, very much, and he said something really interesting. Brian Tracy said the following. He said that people are asking themselves, how long would it take for me to become an expert? And this is the key: become an expert. And he said it takes, no matter what you're going to do, unless you, I don't know, you're trying to make an omelet, which that could take maybe a couple of minutes to learn. I'm talking about a profession that has tons of details and it's lucrative and has a lot of stuff in it, just like commercial real estate. To become something in that field, it takes, he says, 7 years to become an expert. And a lot of people tell themselves when they come in, okay, I'm 25, I'm 30, whatever I am, it's going to take 7 years. I am going to become an expert on 37. It's like being a doctor, but also being a doctor, once you're done with school after so many years of studying, takes you a long time to become a real expert. You'll be a newbie, you'll do a lot of surgeries, you'll do a lot of whatever you do, and then you'll become an expert after 7 years. So Brian Tracy says 7 years it takes you to become an expert, no matter what you do. No matter what you do. And this is key for any profession that you have. So a lot of people tell themselves, I'm not going to do it. So he says, why not start now? Because the time will pass anyways. Hear that? The time will pass anyways. So you start right now. And how do you say, that's what we got to do. We got to do what we got to do. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you on Monday. I'm going to let you know. I'm going to put some posts about what type of market analysis we're going to get into on Monday. We're going to get into a market outlook in one of the asset classes. I did not decide yet which one it is and what it is. I'm gonna think about it, and I'm going to let you guys know. And I'm looking forward to seeing you, hearing you, being with you, whatever you want to call it, on Monday. You guys take care of yourselves.